and welcome or welcome back to the channel. This is Carmina, your host, an astrologer, card reader, and today we are going to be taking a look at how planets feel in the sign of Aquarius. We already have one other video in this series about planets in Capricorn. If you have any planets in Capricorn, go check it out. I'm gonna link it below in the description box. Also, if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. And if you like the video, I would really appreciate a thumbs up, okay? Okay, so even in the other video, we were laying some groundwork before explaining about the planets in Aquarius. We were saying, and I'm gonna say this in every video in case somebody sees it for the first time. Usually in Western astrology, there is more importance given to the signs. What's your sign? What's your blah blah sign? But we have to understand that the signs are an unconscious energy. They are like the receptacle. They are like the vase. They are like the clothes that the energy of the planet wears. So the planets are the conscious forces that unravel their energy in a manner, in a manner that depends on the sign they are in, and the area where they mostly unravel that energy depends on the house they are in. But we're going to talk about houses another time. Now it's signs, and mostly the sign of Aquarius. So the sign of Aquarius is the 11th in the original zodiac, because the first we consider it Aries, the spring equinox in the northern hemisphere, and then from that counting, Aquarius is the 11th sign. So it's the last before Pisces. So what is Aquarius when it's depicted? Aquarius is a man holding a jug of water, and ancient descriptions, ancient depictions in Vedic texts, they say that Aquarius is this man with this jug of water standing in the middle of the water as well. That's why Aquarius is also connected to islands, the sign of Aquarius. So for instance, if you have factors in your horoscope that show residence and they're connected to Aquarius, you might end up on an island. Yes, so a man standing with a jar of water in the middle of water. And we have also to understand that Aquarius is an air sign, but it's also connected to water, to consciousness, to feeling. And it's connected in that way that the water that he's holding in his jug represents value, represents something that he can bring to the world. So Aquarius is a very humanitarian sign. It's connected to big groups. It's connected to large masses of people. So Aquarius is that stage in the evolution where we have to bring forward, we have to share with the world our individuality. So the gist of Aquarius is that in order to be contributing to the world in a useful manner, to bring something of value to the world, we ourselves need to be psychologically mature, psychologically healthy, because that's the best thing you can bring to the collective. A person who is aware of their own individuality and they're manifesting it in a true and healthy manner. That's the quintessence of Aquarius energy. Aquarius energy is not, although it's an air sign and it loves interacting, it loves networking, it's not a touchy-feely like a water sign. It's more impersonal connections, because it's not really concerned with one-to-one connection, but more what they can bring to the collective. So it's more concerned with the individual self and that place of the individual self in the world and on a greater, larger scale, okay? So that's the stage of Aquarius. Anatomically, if we look at Aquarius, it's connected to the tibia bone. So it's connected to the shanks. So the tibia is the second strongest bone in the body. The femur is the strongest bone in the body. And we were talking about the femur when we were mentioning Capricorn, and the resilience of this bone compared to the resilience of the sign of Capricorn, and the animal, the crocodile, that we connected to Capricorn. And when we talk about the tibia, the shins, you know, Capricorn is enveloped with a lot of cushioning, because it has the thighs, it has some flesh there, some muscle to keep it protected, but the tibia is pretty vulnerable, the tibia that we are connecting it to Aquarius. So I think if you ever got hit in this area of your body, you always, like, it was very painful because you don't have the cushioning of the flesh and the muscle. That's why the sign of Aquarius is also very vulnerable, because it's the person being honest with themselves, with who they are, with what they can bring forward. So it's also related to overcoming, you know, having overcome psychological complexes. Because also the downside of Aquarius, it can be also a tendency to evade the world. Ancient Vedic texts say that an afflicted Aquarius sign can have very addictive tendencies with alcohol or whatever that is addicting. That's because the person is not feeling capable enough to bring something of value to the collective, and is not feeling psychologically mature enough. Aquarius is all about psychological maturity. So that, in a nutshell, is the sign of Aquarius. Also, Aquarius, of course, is ruled by Saturn. And Saturn is a neutral planet. It's a separating planet, a planet that detaches us from situations and from ourselves. Of course, it's a planet that handles the elimination process in the body. So that's why Saturn feels at home and rules this sign of Aquarius, an air sign, because it has this cool detachment that is necessary for the person to realize their individuality, and that way to healthily contribute to the world. So Saturn in Aquarius is great. Saturn in Aquarius is in its own sign. It's usually strong unless there are some other factors to really bash it. And it's more preoccupied to strengthening this coolness, this detachment from the world, in order to find individuality and therefore contribute to the world. So it seems a little paradoxical. You detach in order to contribute, but it is what happens at this stage of Aquarius. Other planets that are feeling happy in Aquarius, another planet is Venus, because it's in a natural friend sign. Saturn is a friend to Venus. Venus is a friend to Saturn. Venus is the worth that we get from the world. Venus is diplomacy. Venus is love. Venus is fair relationships. Venus is handling situations in life in a fair manner to all those involved. Venus is also devotional. So in Aquarius, this planet of fairness that also rules an air sign, Libra. In Aquarius, it feels very inspired to be humanitarian, to help the collective. So Venus in Aquarius is very strong. Of course, you have to look at the whole chart, but just if you look at Venus in Aquarius, it's in a natural friend sign. Then we think about Mercury in Aquarius. Saturn is neutral towards Mercury. So Mercury in Aquarius is in a natural neutral sign. It's not delighted and it's not starved either. So it's just average. But Mercury is a planet that can make the best of any situation because it's a planet that helps us manage life. It's a planet that helps us find solution and get out of situations. So Mercury in Aquarius would be good for communication on a collective scale. It would be good for organizing on a large scale, on a group scale. So it can get the job done, Mercury there in Aquarius. Mercury in Aquarius also makes a person style of communication to be more detached, more cool, and more, preoccupied with the collective. Okay, now another planet in Aquarius. Moon in Aquarius is also in a neutral sign. So the moon is, of course, our mind, our subjective consciousness, how we process. It's the interface between us and the world. So it's how we, interiorize, how we assimilate the world experience, how we feel about things. It's a very feeling-oriented planet. And the moon has no enemies. That's what ancient Vedic texts say. So because the moon has no enemies, in Aquarius, it's not delighted, it's not super happy, but it's not starved or suffering either. So the moon in Aquarius has this quality of coolness, of quality of detachment. The mind is more preoccupied with the collective, is more preoccupied with the psychology of things, the psychology of the world, with connecting to groups. So people with moon in Aquarius, because the moon is also the mother in one's chart, so probably their mother was not super, huggy and super mushy and squishy and like moon in a water sign, not super affectionate, but it was a more, cool and detached person in their life, a more cool and detached influence. And then we have the sun in Aquarius. The sun and Saturn are reciprocal enemies. So the sun in Aquarius is feeling starved. So that means that the person, the sun is the individual path. It's the birth of the self. And in Aquarius, it kind of gets lost in the collective a little. The sun wants to be, more pursuing its own goals, and in Aquarius it's a more broader scale, so that's why the sun in Aquarius feels starved. But planets in Aquarius get better with age because this sign is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn represents the oldest of the planets, so it gets better with age, especially after the Saturn maturation at 36, when people realize what the deal is with that sign of Aquarius, what it wants from them. So these people with sun in Aquarius are very preoccupied by the collective needs, so much preoccupied by the collective that they forget themselves. And that's really not a healthy attitude, because first you have to know yourself and be healthy yourself, and then you can bring yourself to the collective. And people with sun in Aquarius tend to skip that step. They just want to be in the group and just forget about themselves completely. And then what else do we have? Jupiter in Aquarius. Jupiter in Aquarius is in a natural neutral sign. And that's because Jupiter wants to expand. And Jupiter is the planet of wisdom, of joy. And Aquarius, although it's a humanitarian sign, it's a bit more cool and detached and airy for the Jupiterian energy to thrive in. The Jupiterian energy likes to have like a clear goal. It likes to also be more a guiding energy for other people, while in the sign of Aquarius, it's a more democratic sign. So it's like everyone is kind of equal. That's why, in my opinion, Jupiter is not delighted in Aquarius, but it's not bad either. It's just, it's just okay. It's neutral. Mars in Aquarius is not doing so wonderful. Mars in Capricorn, in the other sign ruled by Saturn, is exalted. But in Aquarius, maybe its energy gets dissipated too easily because Mars is our logical thinking. It likes to focus on what there is in front of it. It likes to tackle the problems, and maybe Aquarius is too abstract for the martial energy and it feels like a bit dissipated. But I will say that they will channel their energy a lot towards group causes, a lot towards humanitarian causes. So it depends on other factors in their chart, of course, but it's not a bad combination, Mars in Aquarius. So we talked about Sun, Moon, Mars, Mercury, Venus, and Jupiter and Saturn. So those are the embodied planet in Aquarius. If you have the nodes, one of the nodes in Aquarius, if you have the south node in Aquarius, it means you're coming from a past life background where you dealt a lot with groups. And you need to be more self-assertive because you have the north node in Leo. You have to mark your territory, trying to have a balanced approach when marking your territory and doing things for yourself more, because Leo is a fire sign as opposed to the air sign. So more things for yourself than for the collective. And if you have the north node in Aquarius and the south node in Leo, well, then the south node in Leo will tend to take over the group when you go into a group setting. So either dominate and take over the group or totally exclude themselves from it, because it's difficult for the south node in Leo to have a balanced approach, to fit into that group setting. So the remedy would be for the person to take what is uniquely individual and their own person, the fire inside them, the fire of Leo, and just bring that to the group setting. They don't have to give up their individuality. Just keep that in mind. Okay, so that was about it for today. I'll see you next month with the planets in Pisces, the planets' energy in Pisces. Until then, you can find a lot more info about the planets and the signs in the book that I co-wrote with my colleague Levi Kozan, Astrology Explained, Ancient Principles for the Modern Mind. You can see it in the link below. Levi and I also have classes starting February 3rd. And we're gonna put you deeply on the astrology path. We're gonna show you like practical things and psychological things that you can do with astrology. And if you're interested, of course, in readings and if you have other questions, feel free to contact me via my website or my email, okay? So I'll talk to you soon. Bye.